Welcome. You have joined Pray
to stay in the race,
as we share scriptures,
testimonies, and prayer with
encouragement.
to be bold, be
strong, for our Lord God is with you.
Remember to
stay in the race.
My name is Kim Richards, and I am the CEO of the Counseling Center, and I want to welcome you. We are honored to have all of you here as guests for Recovery Month. We hit every recovery home, every step house, every church, Celebrate Recovery group, anything and everything where we knew we would find the people who are actually in recovery, because we're here to honor you. This is for you. We respect and honor and know the difficulty of recovery, from the first day to 3,000 days. It doesn't really matter to us. Recovery is a journey. And so we wanted to put the people in the place where we could celebrate them. And so I want to thank you so much for being willing to come.
On behalf of the Counseling Center, Inc., we humbly and respectfully acknowledge we are on the unceded ancestral lands of the original people of the Apache, Pueblo, and Denai, past, present, and futures. With gratitude, we pay our respect to the land, people, and communities that contribute to what today is known as the state of New Mexico.
My name is Kenny Stevenson. I started my drug use and alcohol use back when I was 9. There was an incident that happened, and I started drinking at age 9 and moved on to harder drugs by the time I was 13 years old. I was already using meth. I had a crazy childhood and filled it with anything that can make me feel normal, and tried to fit into a society that frowned on the lifestyle I lived. I did have a short, brief stint where I tried to get sober when I was 21. Go figure, it's 21 and it was no longer fun. But that didn't last long. Ended up having a son. And shortly after that, we lost a set of twins. After losing the set of twins, I went straight off the deep end again. And my drug of choice is methamphetamines. It was my first love, and it wrecked my world. I got in trouble in 2000, I guess, was when I first got in trouble with the law, and stayed in and out of different prisons through 3 different states till 2012. That's just my backstory in a nutshell. 2012, I got out and didn't learn a dang thing, and I went right back. I got out of prison, went right back to drinking, using drugs. I was on drugs. It didn't matter. If I could change the way my head worked, I would have, but I couldn't. I got in trouble again in 2012, and it finally went before a judge in December of 2013, and then they were doing sentencing in February 2014, and I appeared before the judge, broken, beat down, nowhere else to go, and I made a desperate plea, and he laughed at me. And that if a recovery home or someplace will take you with your record, and this just so happened I was here at the step house. The guy running it at the time was Roy Sherrick. He laughed at me and said it wasn't happening, and I basically begged his wife, and Christy Sherrick stepped in and overrode what Roy said, and I was accepted into the step house in February 2014. Well, there I wasn't. I'll be 100% honest with you. I wasn't getting sober. I was not gonna get sober. I was going through the motions. I was gonna write out my year and go right back to what I was doing, and back to my first love. About 3 months in, about a month in, Royce threatened to throw me out, and called me on my bullshit, and he said I either get a job by the end of the day or I was out. And I knew I could get a job, and I did. I went to work at Sonic, and that's something I've been doing since I was 13 years old. And the deal was, if I got in a fight with one of the guys there. Anyways, long story short, I did get a job, didn't get kicked out. 3 months in, I had a baby girl. And when I saw her face for the first time, it gave me every reason in the world to stay sober. I already raised my son behind prison bars, and I wasn't going to do it for my little girl. She changed my life. And another 3 months went by. I was working my butt off all the time. I wasn't catching as many meetings as I should have, and Royce called me on that. And I was about ready to quit work and find another job. He didn't care where I worked as long as I wasn't working 40 plus hours a week. And something arose that it was beyond my control, and probation came in and took everybody that was on probation parole out of the step house. That was really the turning point of, that was my oh shit moment. That was like, what am I gonna do? I cannot go back home. If I go back home, I'm back in this on the streets with a needle in my arm. No questions asked. That's just where I was. And it was hard. I was very emotional. I remember I was there, Billy. I mean, I came in, I didn't know what I was doing. I was scared to death, and I threw it at Mr. Cutts as a look. Please let me stay here. If you don't let me stay here, you might as well send me back to jail, because that's where I'm going. And he's like, well, do you have a place to stay here? And I said, well, one of the things me and Royce thought about was I started seeing the assistant manager at Sonic. You told me not to. I haven't. You said as soon as I got out of the house, you would let me. And me and her moved in together. That was August 2014. And we've been together ever since. We're married, doing great. I moved in with her, and I surrounded myself with positive people, people with like minds, wanted to stay sober. I kept going back to the step house for morning meditation there for at least the remainder of the year, if not more. I did that with the guys. Stayed around there for 2 years, just off and on. Still working at Sonic, and which was literally I didn't want to do anything else. But where was I? 2 years, 2016. I was working with a gentleman up in from Miradoso and here, Garland. He asked me if I ever thought of becoming an alcohol drug counselor, and we sat down, looked at my schooling background, and we decided that mapped out a plan on how I could do it. So I went back up to NMSU, or went to NMSU, proceeded to get my associates in human services. So doing that, I kind of quit work at Sonic and worked at the testing center as just a work study with the college, and I struggled through that. And 2007, I had a brand new class, Fish and Wildlife class, that offered paid internships, and with Peg, Kim, Skinner, and everybody else, that gave me a chance to come in here and work with some at-risk youth and take kids up to the mountains and teach them some work ethics and just work with them. And it was a blast. It really was. It opened my eyes up more to the working field, or the service work and stuff with youth, and it reminded me of where I came from. I finally graduated in 2018 and went to work there at the college full time as a testing proctor, and went to work for Desert Rose Counseling, doing UAs and stuff for the federal probationers. And during that time, I jumped through hoops and denials on getting my license to the New Mexico Counseling Board to get my LSA. 2019, they finally said, prove me. I started doing counseling with Desert Rose Counseling and Sherry Edgar. About that time, COVID hit. Hours of school got cut drastically, and Workforce Solutions came. A friend of mine was working over there. Hey, they're paying to get your bachelor's, you get something you wanted, right? I was like, yeah, if I can afford it, well, we're gonna pay for it. So I went back to get my bachelor's in social work. I applied at Eastern and had to jump through all the background hoops again. And it's just one thing after the other, and that took one, two, 3 times I think, and I finally went through to do that. And one of the things I had to find a place to intern. They moved. I had no idea where they were, and by the grace of God, I still had Michelle's number saved in my phone, and reached out to her, and she said, "Good luck, she intern over here." So I came back over here to the counseling center, interned with them for another 2 years while I worked on getting my bachelor's. So in 2022, I received my bachelor's in social work, and they hired me to work with them, and I've been working with them ever since here at the counseling center with the CBPAR program. But I love the people I work with. Wouldn't trade it for anything. It's amazing. Last year this time, Michelle again. You ever thought of getting your master's in social work? No, they're never gonna have the master's program at Eastern, right? But if they do, I'll do it. And she's like, "Have you even tried calling them?" Well, I called them, and yes, they had the master's program. I got in, and Van Standing, New Mexico paid for my master's in social work, so I went through the master's social work program. Graduated in May. I applied for my provisional license from LMSW, and freaking for once, I have not had to jump through freaking hoops. I was able to do it. Guys, if there's anything to learn from my story, I mean, there's nothing in my past that I could not be thankful for, even from that first drink, because that first drink is what started my journey of my my lived experience, which I use every day to help the clients that I have. Thank you guys for letting me talk.
So, my name's Katie Silva, and I'm 37 years old. I'm in recovery. I have almost 20 months clean. I always get really shocked when people ask me to speak because it's just in complete contrast to the person that I used to be. I don't want to spend too much time in my backstory because I saw the little agenda and it said something about relapse. So that kind of gave me confirmation of where I want to go. But I grew up in Alamogordo. I was born and raised here, and I had a really good childhood. Now that I can, in hindsight, now that I think back on it, and now that people talk about adverse childhood experiences and things like that, I do know that, my father was in prison. I didn't meet him till I was 13 years old. My mom was a single parent. And then, whenever she was married, he was addicted to crack cocaine. And I had three stepsisters. But my mom did a really good job of shielding me from all that trauma. So it's not really a core memory that I have. It's more of like a secondhand memory, my family telling me, like, these are things that went on during your childhood. So, like I said, I had a really good childhood. I was with my grandparents a lot. I did really well in school. I always had a lot of anxiety and depression, and I never like really truly felt like I belonged. But I couldn't really put a name to all those feelings that I was feeling at the time. You're young, you're growing up, and you feel like you don't belong. So the first time I had a drink, I was 14 years old, and the first time I did drugs, I was 16 years old. I started cocaine just really on the weekends. I worked at Chili's, and anyone who's worked in the restaurant business knows that that's just kind of the lifestyle. I was 16 years old, but hanging out with the cooks and the servers, the bartenders, hanging out after work, just drinking on the weekends, doing coke. thinking that it's no big deal. Like, I'm going to school, I'm getting good grades, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Like, this is totally normal. Like, it wasn't a problem at all. Whenever I was in high school, everyone else was doing it. So, like, but quickly I realized that I didn't drink like everyone else. I was getting blacked out drunk. I was not remembering things that happened. And I wasn't just drinking to have a good time and to socialize. I was literally blacking out, passing out, and can't even recall like what was happening the next day. And that was just a cycle that I did for many, many years. It was what everyone else did, so I assumed that it was okay to do that. I graduated high school in 2006, and again, I'm still drinking on the weekends, doing coke, doing mushrooms here and there, just doing things that normal teenage didn't see a problem with it at all. It's totally okay. It's fine. It wasn't until I transferred from New Mexico State University here in Alamogordo to Las Cruces when I was 21 years old and I was in my senior year of college that I was introduced to OxyContin, and I instantly like fell in love. I was like, that was my escape. I finally felt like I belonged. All the feelings of anxiety, depression just went away. I was able to cope with all these big feelings that I always had. And again, it was during the time whenever the opiate epidemic was going on. So it was literally everyone was doing it, every single person. You could get it from anyone. I mean, doctor shopping, just so it's just something that I started doing on the weekends. And I didn't start by just eating the pills, I went straight to, breaking them up, crushing them, and then that quickly turned into an addiction. And I first realized it was an addiction whenever I went to go spend a weekend with my dad, and I didn't take anything with me because I don't think that I have a problem. I'm just going to go enjoy a Cowboys game. And I remember like that the first time of getting sick and that feeling of just, anyone who's gone through withdrawals before knows that feeling. You're crawling out of your skin. You have, your legs are shaking uncontrollably. You want to throw up. You can't eat. Can't sit still. You can't think about anything else except for that next high. And I remember I cut that trip short. I told my dad I had the flu, and I flew back, and immediately I was in the bathroom doing OxyContin. And that's kind of whenever I thought to myself, okay, yeah, this is serious. But I still wasn't willing to admit that to anybody. I was still putting on this facade that I'm going to college. I am about to get my bachelor's degree in journalism and mass communication, and everything's fine, even though I'm down to like 90 pounds. My family hasn't seen me. I've blown through all of my savings. I'm now getting more loans for college, even though my college is already paid for. I'm just taking out massive amounts of loans. I no longer can keep a job. And eventually, I ended up getting a DWI. And that was the first time I got arrested. And I wasn't even drinking, but I was under the influence. So a week after I had gotten out of jail, my family was upset, but it wasn't really anything that caused too much alarm to them. They thought, okay, she's 21 years old, she's 22, she's just doing what normal 22-year-olds do. They get in trouble. It's nothing serious. I think they were in denial just as much as I was trying to hide that for them. But a week later, I'm in jail again because I'm driving, and I'm not supposed to be driving because you have to get the interlock. So at this point, my mom, she knows something serious is going on, and I spend the weekend in jail, and then as whenever I get out of jail, all my stuff is packed, and I'm leaving the house where I had stolen like 3 months of their rent. Wasn't paying bills for 3 months. They almost got evicted, but I just jet out of there. I just do what addicts do, and I just, not my problem anymore. That's kind of how I saw it. So I'm back in Alamogordo, and I have a very, very big addiction, and the pills are just so expensive at this point. They're like, I think $25. They were very expensive. And this was the first time that my family had presented me with, okay, you're going to treatment. And of course, I agreed to go, but I'm going to go to a very fancy one. Like, so they fly me out to California, and I'm there for about 30 days. But I was shocked when I first got there because I was like, oh, I'm in here with real addicts. I'm not a real addict. I just do pills. These are prescriptions. Like, these are like hardcore addicts. And not knowing what's like going to be down the road for me eventually, you know what I mean? Because I'm still like, well, I'm a college graduate. I'm just doing pills. There's nothing wrong with it. So I get home from that treatment center that my family came up with $10,000 for it because Medicaid wasn't covered. And of course, I'm not going to go to a state funded one, but eventually, of course, I do. I end up going to, they to 6 or 7 different treatment centers. But at this point, I get straight out of treatment center and I tell my mom I'm going to go to a meeting, but I have to go to a meeting in Las Cruces. And that's the first time that I did heroin. I was not even home. I think I started drinking on the plane whenever I got out of rehab. When my family picked me up, I was drunk. And then that evening, I was going to do heroin for the first time and immediately started doing it intravenously. And that became my new addiction. I didn't want to have anything to do with the pills anymore. So I was an intravenous drug user with heroin from the time I was 22 to 26. And during that time, of course, I cannot keep a job. I am stealing from my family. I'm not really doing too much other things at the time, just, completely depleting my grandparents' bank account. I remember like literally army crawling to get underneath my grandpa while he's asleep to get his wallet. Like, that's how bad my addiction got. And not know, like, of course, like, I know that he's going to wake up the next day and see a $300 transaction, and I was just constantly just taking and taking and taking from my family because that's the addiction. I became someone I completely just did not recognize. I was writing checks to myself, and so many times the bank was telling my grandparents, press charges on her. You need to press charges on her, but they wouldn't do it. And the span of that time, kind of just that same cycle of similar things that I'm telling you guys. It was a very isolating time for me. I did go to probably like 5 or 6 different treatment centers. I went to ones like in California, Albuquerque, Las Cruces, Houston, everywhere. And I just was not ready to get clean. Most addicts, they don't want, I mean, I know I can't say most. For me, I never wanted to get clean. I didn't think it was possible. I thought that it was completely okay, the life I was living, even though I was destroying my family. I wasn't thinking about anything else except for the addiction. But I did ultimately get off of heroin in 2016, and I went to Teen Challenge. I was there for like 8 months, and whenever I got out, I didn't get connected with I didn't find a community of other addicts who were in recovery. But I always say that I was off of heroin for 5 years, but a year into that, I did start drinking again because I can drink. It's totally fine. It's no big deal. So about a year into not being off heroin, I started drinking. And then I slowly started allowing smaller compromises into my life. I started doing cocaine again on the weekends. I stopped doing the things that I would normally do. I stopped going to the gym. I would, not be there when I say I was going to be there for my family. And it's just little small things that eventually lead you to a bigger relapse. And I used to say for the longest time, because I relapsed on fentanyl on Christmas 2021 after having almost 5 years off of opiates. And I always used to say, and I just like recently had this, well, just me taking accountability, but I said, well, my cousin put me in that situation. No, I put myself in that situation. You really do have to change every single aspect of your life if you are serious about recovery. The people, places, things, and it includes your family members. I knew that she was still using, but I was like, well, I'm going to go hang out with her. Of course, I'm going to be in that position. And I, in the back of my head, obviously wanted to use, and I ended up relapsing on fentanyl, like I said, Christmas 2021. And I was able to maintain that facade that I was still clean. I was still telling my family I was clean for about 6 months. I still was able to maintain a job, but of course, I'm in the bathroom. I'm working at a dentist office, and I'm in the bathroom smoking pills. I'm drinking. I'm taking shots while I'm at work. I'm starting to steal again from my family, starting to ask to borrow money all the time. I totaled my car, my grandparents' car. Um, just anything you can think of. I'm not saying things that I know you guys are, some of you guys probably nodding your head because you guys have been there. Like, this isn't anything that's a big revelation. I was just destroying my life and my family's life all over again. They were having to go through that trauma all over again. But I didn't care. And the addiction with fentanyl was unlike anything I had ever experienced before. Completely had me in a chokehold. I just completely wrecked my entire life. Everything I had built so hard to rebuild was gone in an instant. And in 2022, at this point, I'm kind of living in, like, on and off on the streets, going to my family sometimes, but they really don't want to have anything to do with me because anytime I'm around them, I'm stealing anything that they have. So nobody wants to really be around me, but I was involved in a shooting in 2022. I was at a house, um, and two individuals came there, and the entire house got um, shot shot up. Like, about, there was like 50 or 60 bullets, and I ended up getting shot 7 times. And I still, like, in this moment, think like what I was thinking. Like, was I pleading for my life? Was I scared? But I wasn't, and none of those things. I was still concerned with one thing, and that was that I was going to be in a hospital and I was not going to have access to my drugs. That was my main concern. As I'm like, they're, holding pressure on my neck, trying to make sure that I don't die. I'm concerned with getting my next high. And I wish I could tell you guys that that was like the turning point for me, that that was my rock bottom, but it wasn't. It was just more trauma for my family to have to go through. I spent 2 weeks in the hospital. I ended up getting on methadone, and my family's like, okay, you're going to treatment again. And at this point, I do have a pending felony charge. So I know that eventually I am going to have to go to rehab, or I'm going to have to get clean, but I'm getting continuances. I'm pushing this off as far as I can. And I decide that I'm recovering. And I remember sitting in the room, and people, they come to they bring the NA meetings into the recoveries. And I still remember the first person, and I really truly felt like what she was saying, like, was my story. Like, everything she was saying was just like hitting me like so deeply. I never even met this person before, but it was for the first time that I felt like that recovery was possible, that I might be able to recover as well, that I wasn't just going to be like this forever. Um, so I ended up staying at that treatment center for 3 months, and I thought I had it under control. I thought I was going to get it this time. I wanted it. I was going to meetings. I was working at a homeless shelter in Santa Fe, but I hadn't dealt with any of the trauma that I had been through, the shooting, my childhood, not having my dad, plus all the guilt and shame of all the things I had done. I had not faced any of that. So one day I'm just, decide, instead of going to meeting, I was like, I just go driving around Santa Fe, and I just find someone who looks like they do drugs, and I start using again immediately. And anyone who's had multiple relapses knows that each time you go back out, everything gets worse immediately. You're never going to have those good times again. And that's where it went. It did not stay good at all. I remember I was living in a sober living, and I had to move out because they wanted to drug test me, and I was like, "How why are you going to drug test me? I'm clean. This is crazy that you would want to drug test me while I'm in a sober living," you know? And they told me that I ended up telling them like, "Hey, like this is not my urine. I took it from someone else." And they're like, "Well, if you go to detox, you could still stay here." And I was like, "Absolutely not. That's not going to happen." So I'm packing up all my stuff, and my mom is like, "You should come back home." And I was like, "No, I'm okay." Well, the place I was living, the homeless shelter I was working at, they made the mistake of allowing me to move upstairs. And so I'm by day working at a homeless shelter, and then after I get off work, I'm going right upstairs to go do do substances. That's what I was doing. And I ended up getting arrested. I was asleep in the Motel 6, and I was unconscious, and the cops, I remember, were just trying to bang on my door forever, and they finally got it open. Ended up spending the weekend in jail. And then shortly after, I just quit the homeless shelter. You can't keep up with working and the addiction. Like it all just, for me, like I'm an all or nothing type of person, and I just didn't want to work anymore. I just wanted to go completely back to doing that. I wanted to go back to the streets. That's what I wanted. So for the next year and a half, I just spent literally living either in my car or I was living in a tent behind Home Depot in Santa Fe, just stealing from anyone and everyone, anyone that I would see. I wasn't allowed in any stores at all. They recognized my face. Um, in and out of jail. I probably got arrested in Santa Fe like 5 to 7 times in the last like year and a half I was there, but they never stuck. I would always just get arrested, spend a weekend there, clean up a little bit, go right back to it. And like my mom and them, they were at this point of acceptance that I was probably not ever going to get clean. And it's not that she didn't want me to, it's just she had been through this cycle for like 12 years with me. And so they had to love me from a distance, because anytime I was around them, I was robbing them, I was using them, manipulating them, lying to them. And so they needed to heal from the trauma that I caused them. But eventually I got arrested in Santa Fe, um, for the last time, because they were not going to let me out. I had a warrant here in Alamogordo. And so after spending like a month in Santa Fe, I thought I was getting out. I was like, yeah, going back to the streets. And like, no. There was a sheriff from the Otero County there, and they took me to Lincoln County because the person that shot me was in the Otero County jail. So they put me in Lincoln County, and I was there for 3 months. And still at that time, I was not completely sold on getting clean. I just was like, I'm just going to do what I need to do. And then that's going to be that. I'll go back to what I'm used to, going back to my drugs. I just didn't have a desire to. I really, truly didn't. But Judge Snyder allowed me to go into the treatment court program, and then I was going to be on probation. So whenever I got out, I went to my probation officer, and then got into treatment court about a month later. And somewhere down the line, it just stuck with me. I haven't picked up since December 10th, 2024. So almost coming up on 2 years. Thank you. And I I hope that it's gonna be that I'm in it for the long haul this time. I do things completely different than I did before. I truly did change everything about my life. The first year of my recovery was very isolating because I mean, I didn't go to meetings. I had my treatment court, but I literally went to work, went home, went to the gym, and that's it. I finally understand that I'm not missing out on anything. I don't need to go out on the weekends. I don't need to be drinking on the weekends. I don't need to be around people who are going to be drinking. And it's not, the people that can drink on the weekends, that's fine, that's them. But for me, I can't do it because I know where it's going to lead to eventually. It may not be tomorrow, it may not be a month from now, but it is going to happen. It's happened to me time and time again. And I'm not willing to sacrifice the relationships that I've built and the restoration that I've had with my family. They rely on me. They know that whenever I say I'm going to do something, that I'm going to do it. They can keep their purses around me. They trust me with their debit card. Little things like that, that before they wouldn't, I never dream of leaving anything of value around me. And I can never pay back everything that I stole from them, but I try. I make little amends where I can, and I just surround myself with people who also are in recovery or, right now I extremely focused in going to the gym, and I do need to do meetings or something like that because I'm not in treatment court anymore. I graduated, and it's so important to have that community of people who understand and they've been there before. I know that that's like whenever I'm in here right now, I can feel that too. People who just get it, they understand. So I just want to thank Michelle and Kim and everyone at the Counseling Center for having me. Thank you.
Good evening, folks. It's a pleasure being here with all you fellow folks and all that. And I have a long list of people I'd like to say thank you to. But first and foremost, I'd like to thank the Lord for giving me the opportunity to be sober today. Mr. Dave Wright and Sandy Wright for the Pecos Valley Sober Living Home Christian Center, and Miss Michelle and Nadia for the Counseling Center. They've been a great help. My name is Lonnie Youngman. I'm a 57-year-old Mescala Apache. My road to recovery is a revolving door. It's been a long, hard struggle, but today I'm sober. And I'm a juvenile. Just hearing these two, my life flash before my eyes, just hearing their stories because I relate to everything they said. And first and foremost, to be surrounded by awesome people like you all is a good, you know, background. It's somebody you can talk to, somebody you can confide in. Everything they say, we take in. We've all had our ups and downs in our struggle with our addiction. I know addiction doesn't care if you're rich or poor. It's not discriminative. It's not prejudice. Takes a hold of you. With the Lord, we can fight it, and we can win this battle. My addiction started when I was 10 years old. Considering myself a drunk and a pothead, and every drug in between is just an added bonus. But I tried them all, so it's just. But I started using booze at 10, smoking weed at 10. I've never stopped, and every time I've had a hangover, I should say it was like the best one I ever had, and it seemed to be getting worse and worse. But as time went on, I was grateful to get it under control through the proper tools I gained at the counseling center here and Valley counseling. Being surrounded with sober living homes where we stay. I wish that was nationwide. I wish everybody could in a program like this who needs help. I know first and foremost that if you want to be sober, you got to do it for yourself. If you do it for somebody else, and you're really not, it's almost like faking it to make it almost. But I'm doing it for myself, and I'm blessed to be sober. I'm blessed to be around all these fine people that I stay with. I also was incarcerated. I did 4 years in Inez, Kentucky at a USP Federal Penitentiary, and it wasn't no walk in the park there. Very, very violent place. I walked on and off that yard. Taught me respect. It taught me be aware. All the things I learned in there, how to get by the system, get through all the loopholes, and instead of learning what I should have learned there, I learned how to trick to lie to myself and not be an honest person. But now I've learned from my past experiences and through all the struggles in my life that being sober ain't a bad thing. It's actually a blessing to be sober, not to wake up and have to think of a lie, not to go to work, or not to something you can say so you can keep drinking and drugging and all of that. But now I wake up, I see the world through clear eyes. I'm not looking at it with distorted vision or false intentions. The Lord has guided me along, and He plays a big part in my sobriety. And I couldn't do it without Him, and my wife and all the people here. I can relate to each and everybody's story. Sometimes I do want to drink and continue drugging, but the cost don't it outweighs what I have. I got way far much more to lose than picking up a can of beer or a meth pipe or some other drugs. But I like to be sober to this day. I can honestly say I do miss drinking and drugging, but I don't miss the time or the heartaches that it caused me and my family. To this day, I'm not gonna say I'll stay sober forever, but I'm gonna give it a good run for its money. And I really don't like to say his name because he might wake up thinking I'm trying to glorify him. But the devil's journey is not ever gonna be a part of my life for today, tomorrow, or the next day. I'm gonna stay sober for myself and my community around, which Alamogordo is a really nice place. The people here, the support team, they're really good people, and I couldn't ask to be surrounded by any better people than where I'm at now. With the gentlemen at my house, the other house, the ladies, all our group that we do in the morning, it's an inspiration for us to keep striving forward to reach our goal of sobriety. It's a hard road, it's a road of it's almost like the narrow road of righteousness. We struggle. We're not robots, so we have our faults, but all we can do is help each other and you know tell each other we can do it. Everybody has a gift in this life, and we're here for a reason. Some have the gift to talk. Some have the gift of prayer. Some have a gift of healing. We have each other, and that's our gift. I come from my background was I graduated in '86 in Riverside, California. I stayed there, I lived there, and if you know, California was a lot faster paced than this place. So, drugs were there, drugs were on every corner. Um, Anything you wanted. I always tell myself, one day I'm gonna go back to California, but I think I'll go back to, just to see the ocean or revisit my high school, but I'm not gonna go to the drugs or to any of that. I went to high school out there. I graduated. I was the only one in my family that graduated, and I went and got a welding certificate in Albuquerque. There, I found the drug called crack cocaine, which complete waste of money and a waste of time. And but I used it, and I was pretty good at it. So, but I found out, it's not worth it. I've never stuck a needle in my arm because if anything was good and I liked it, I figured I'd abuse it way and way more. So I never wanted to do that because I knew I probably would like it. So I never stuck a needle in my arm. I'm not going to. My drug of choice is marijuana and booze. I did more dumb stuff on booze than I ever did on marijuana. I've lost relationships, jobs, over booze, marijuana. I think I probably just ate all the food and watched TV all day, but that's, about the dumbest shit I ever did. As far as living now today, I'd rather see what years I have left sober. I want to see the world that, I don't want to take nothing for granted no more. The little things in life that we used to look at and just pay no attention to are now beautiful. I praise the Lord. To pick up a Bible doesn't cost nothing. It's free. And pick one up and read it. It's not gonna hurt you. I'm Native American, and I'm a traditional person, but I'm a Christian. I know there's one Creator, and He created each and every one of us, and He said there's an ounce of good in each and every one of us. So I believe there is. I love this place. I love Miss Horal right here. Michelle is one of the nicest ladies around. Mr. Dave couldn't made it this far without none of them. And I would like to, if I could, send a blessing to all the addicts that are out there that maybe one day they'll see the light and find a place like this, whether it's here or wherever, but there's hope for everybody. And I know there is. If I can sober up, I know anybody can, because I was the best drunk or the best user I know. For me to be sober and to be up here talking, it's an honor. It's a blessing. I wouldn't change it for nothing. If I could live my life over, I wouldn't change it. I know I'm sober now, and I'm gonna remain sober. I'm gonna not let the substance abuse win over my life. The counseling, the tools I've gained at the counseling here and at the Pecos Valley, they gave me the tools needed to maintain my sobriety. I love that. It's my choice to stay sober, and it's a choice I'm gonna make for until I decide not to, which ain't gonna be anytime soon. I love waking up and going to work or trying to look for a job, and if not, have the physical ability to walk, ride around, or read, or even help somebody, pray for somebody who needs. The Lord is my shepherd and guide me through everything I need. I'm not gonna doubt him in any way, shape, or form. I'm gonna keep coming every morning until they take the Bible from my hands, and I'm not gonna give up.
I'm Billy Johnson. I got 8 in a few months, about 8.5 years sobriety. Yeah. But the first thing I want to say, because um, Kim's way she approached this tonight is that we are the subject. We are the topic tonight. And so I want to say right now, what I believe is that you should give yourself an applause. If you're in this room right now and you're recovering from whatever, because there's many addictions. I mean, you may be in recovery for something right now. Like me, I'm a recovering alcoholic addict. But I struggle with um, fear and anger. And I'm going to tell you why fear and anger is an addiction for me. Because of the human chemical makeup which involves fear and anger is adrenaline. And I get adrenaline whenever I get afraid of something, or when I go ahead and so quickly not acknowledge that I have fear that I go get anger, and I use anger. And so I'm high on adrenaline. I am not sober minded. And so if you get into an argument with me and it starts to escalate, I'm beginning to get high. You don't know it, but I am. And what do we do when we get drunk? What happens? Life becomes unmanageable. So you're talking to a man that's out of his mind. You didn't see me pick up one drink. You didn't see me do anything. But I am unstable at that moment. And if you try to stop arguing with me, what happens when you go to the bar and you don't get another drink when you want another drink? You get even madder. What do you mean you're not going to give me another drink? What do you mean you're not going to argue with me? So I deal with fear and anger, and that I did not find until I got into the program. I'm 8 years sober, and I'm 2 months without a fit of rage. You know what I'm saying? It gets close. I'm just new at it, so it gets close, but I'm able to recognize. And I got a wife that helps me. I don't have to take that, And that's new to me, because you don't walk away from me and I'm gonna chase you down. You can't be chasing me. You can't do that. Anyway, so I'm gonna come to keep it real. That you guys should give yourselves truly a pat on the back, because you came out of the mire. You came out. Yourself is your worst enemy. Just point blank. We are worst enemy. We're addicted to what? Pleasure. What I need to what cope with. And so we found a drug, or a substance or a behavior that we cope with life with. We choose to use it, and then we become addicted to it. So we don't know how to cope with life. And so every time we get into a situation, we're going to use the drug, we're going to use the situation, we're going to act out, and we can't help it. We're powerless. I am powerless in certain situations. It's okay today. If I accept what I am, I'm an alcoholic addict. That's my lot. I'm not worried about nobody who can drink. That's good for them. But like she said, not me. You know, if I want to continue to have the blessings to be able to stand here another year sober, the blessings come. I'm not rich and wealthy. Don't get it wrong. They're spiritual blessings. You know, I can't be trusted with money. Don't give me a lot of money. I'm gonna smoke some crack. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get drunk. I just know that this program, it works. The 12 steps work. And if you guys are here, you should give yourself a pat on the back because you came from out of that mire. Now, I didn't get here by myself. It took a lot of work to get here, but it's worth it. And if God is doing a spiritual intervention for each one of us, because we're not here, you're not here by like a mistake. Kenny and I wasn't at the step house accidentally. We needed each other. We weren't able to walk by ourselves. I was so mad at probation. I'd be coming home and I'd be like, oh, probation, I'm gonna be off in a week. I'm gonna show them that I can live my life without probation. First thing I did the week that I got off probation, I got drunk because I was gonna show them that I could walk on my own. But I didn't know how to walk on my own. I knew how to use drugs to walk. I knew how to use anger to walk. I know how to use those things. DW walk, you know, DWI walk. That was, that was a joke. But yeah, I did that too, but I didn't pass it. What I'm saying is then I when I accepted that my life was unmanageable and that I was put on in these conditions by my own choice, by my choice. You're your worst enemy. And if you're able to sit in this chair because your own decisions and make a good decision about yourself, it's not easy to deny self. It's not. My wife is good at shut me down, but I'll be like, I'll be sitting over there on the wall somewhere thinking about how did that just happen and how do I get her back interested in this argument? You know what I'm saying? It's really difficult. I don't know how. I'm learning how. I'm learning. I gotta pray. I have to come to a meeting. I have to come to a meeting. She used to tell me, you'd be like, you need a meeting. You know, because she can just tell you, you're not here for no reason. God doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't. I didn't accidentally get sent to the step house. I didn't accidentally get accepted to it. It was not. Took me a year. I was going to go to prison for battery on a household member, DWI, felon in possession of a handgun type stuff. I went to, her name is Judge Snyder. I went into Snyder, it's been a long time. I went into Judge Snyder's room for court, and I was pretty sure I was going to prison. I mean, Stackham, I was going to, I went to the step house, and it took approximately a year for me to go to court. So I was about a week out. When I finally went to court, they gave me the opportunity. The DA thought, of course, give him a little rope, he'll hang himself. I wasn't going to make it. I'm an alcoholic. I'm an addict. What do we do? What do you expect us? We're going to cope with life with this. Well, anyway, I went and I stood and I did. I got in there and I put my heart in there because I did not want that lifestyle. Because I wasn't afraid of prison. Not at that point. Not really. What I was afraid of was losing the new life God had given me, you know. And so here I am today. It's 2015, so I did have a relapse, and my bottom was not as low as I had before. I knew I didn't want, and my wife divorced me twice. I've been divorced 3 times. I've been married 3 times, divorced twice to the same one. Same one. She didn't tolerate my crap. You know what I'm saying? There's some consequences. You know what I'm saying? And so I had to get some things together. I had to get some things straight. I'm still working on them. But you were in here. Give yourself some love. Love you. Because we was destroying each other. First and foremost, I was destroying my body. First and foremost, I was destroying the life that God wants to give us a lot more than this. He wants us to be the Father. He wants me to be the Son. He wants me to be the brother. Come on, y'all. You tell me prison You telling me jail, you telling me in the gutter with the tents and all that. You're fulfilling your duty. What I did is I copped out and I bailed out on my family. And then I call them and I'm supposed to be a burden on them because I want them to put some money on my books. And then I call them and they don't, because I've lied to them so many times. I'm not the son I'm supposed to be. I'm not the father I've been supposed to. Oh, I wasn't the husband. So you in here, give yourself some credit. Give yourself some credit. And just know that this is not a mistake. This is not a mistake. God don't make nothing in God's world happen by me. And I get to be a husband today. Because I wasn't married. I was just, excuse my friends, I was this hoe. And I was a hoe, and I would look down at other people what they was doing. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm respectable. I still have to fight demons. I still have those things. We don't get to walk away from this program, just in case y'all was wondering. That'll be your first mistake. If you come into these rooms and you able to walk away, you're not gonna make it by yourself. It's not designed like that. I'm an addict for life. A diabetic has to take his medication for life. I found out that I need to take blood thinners for the rest of my life. I was mad. I was like, that's probation. I could do this by myself. Drink a little more water. I don't like water. I like beer. I've been living that way my whole life. So I know I'm running long. So what I want to say is that you guys are what it's all about right now. You're what it's all about right now. God is trying to bring you to himself. And then from the relationship I have with God, I become the husband. And I'm supposed to become the son. My mother's dead. I did something so cruel, so mean. My last relapse, I went home and she struggled with hoarding. Wants some things, they bring her comfort. I'm gonna go back and I'm 3 years sober and I'm gonna make her stop hoarding. So what basically I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna throw all her stuff away. But she didn't like that. You know what I'm saying? So I got mad because I got my little feelings hurt and I got drunk. And I came back and I wasn't helping. And I told her the only thing that I could do for her is bury her. Why would I say that? And a year later, my mother died. One thing is I got to bury her. I had to pull cash. And I buried my mother with pride and I was sober. My brothers, they wasn't sober, but I wasn't worried about that. But I was sober. She got to see me sober before she did. I'm telling you, y'all, we are what it's about. You're what it's all about. You are the focus of God's love. It's not a mistake. Thank you guys for.
Well, hi, this is Latanya Boyce with Pray to Stay in the Race, and I was so excited about all the testimonies that you've just heard. You know, Jeremiah 29:11 says that I know the plans I have for you, plans that won't harm you, but plans that will give you a hope and a future. And we give you all the glory and honor, Father God, for everyone that's been in this room tonight as they go out the door, that they'll stay with what they heard and they'll pray that you will continually guide and lead them as they believe. And so I just want to remind each of you to stay in the race. So we thank you for watching Pray to Stay in the Race. And I know that each of these testimonies that you hear, it's going to encourage you to do exactly that, stay in the race. And so just as I thank God for my friend here, she's a friend and a coworker. And oh my God, girl, I know someone heard something that encouraged you to get away from the people. What's one thing you just would like to say to anybody that might be watching, that you're in an awesome job right now and you are so, oh my God, say anything for me. All right.
I would like to say, and I know I didn't get to touch on it because I kind of felt like I was rambling a little bit.
You were.
I just want to say that for me, it didn't stick the first time around. Like I said, whenever I heard someone speak and it really like hit me in the soul was over 4 years ago.
Yes.
But it still sticks with me. I still get emotional thinking about it because the words that she was saying, I felt like we had known each other our whole lives because she was saying my story, yet I had never met her before. So, if I could just say anything to people, I would say that recovery is possible
Yes.
And you can do it, but you have to want to do it
You have to want
for yourself, just like they said earlier. You have to want to do it for yourself. And life is so beautiful now. I didn't get to say, but working at 100% Otero with Peg and Lisa, they gave me an opportunity when I was only 4 months clean, and they entrusted me to work alongside them. And now I get to be part of the community that I used to feel so isolated from. And I think that's the one thing that we all want as human beings is community.
Community. And look at the Billy, can you come over here too? And so look at this, that all the things that, because see, I'm included in that too. Every day my hands, I pray to God. I say, God, let these hands be used to be doing something clean and to give somebody something that's going to help them and not destroy them. See, you said something we can't make up for back there. We can only start right here and keep doing. So pray to stay in the race. That's what it's all about. Now, Kenny, I praise God for you too, because you was at one of the 100% Otero meetings and you helped me out videoing. And but what do you want to say that you didn't get to say?
Don't leave before the miracle. I mean, because no matter where you come from, everything is there's change. You just have to want it. It don't matter what hoops you have to jump through. Get up and jump through them. It's your choice. That's about it.
Amen. So even though it's been since 1983, really, when I came out of from dealing drugs, doing whatever darkness, since then, there's still now times you hit me in my heart that there's certain words that if I say to my family, even after all these years, they'll cringe like, and especially since we got dispensaries on every corner. Good God Almighty. I said, I must be doing something right, Lord. know? But even those words, I have to know that that word doesn't mean what it used to mean, but it's something new for me today. So, Billy, what do you want to say that you might not have said up there to encourage someone else pray to stay in the race?
That's exactly it. It's prayer. It's not something that I've done myself. I can't give credit to myself.
Yes.
It's definitely a God thing. This is a God program, and you can't take the power out of it. And so we have to be careful about that. We have to understand that the power that gives us freedom is God. It's not me. It's not.
Yes.
Now, as a group in the fellowship, we draw strength from each other, and that's what I was trying to say tonight. But I say praise God and give Him the glory, and He'll help us to continue to walk to
Continue to walk.
Mhm.
So I want to encourage my viewers. I want to encourage you on one scripture I want to leave with you. And it's Nahum look at this. It's huh? No, it is Nehemiah 8 and 10. It's the joy of the Lord is my strength. And that's what I have to live on. I can't live on the high. I can't live on the memories. I have to keep knowing that there's someone or something I have to do ahead of me. And I'm going to get it done no matter what happens because the joy of the Lord is my strength. And there's going to be one thing that we're going to do, you guys. Stay in the race.